I didn't really have my dad full-time into my life until I was 16.
You know, you watch your kids grow and develop, you watch them learn.
I didn't actually have my father full-time into my life until I was 16. You realize you watch your children develop and foster, you watch them learn, they commit errors, as we as a whole do. Steve Harvey could have felt that all dramatization encompassing his sketchy standing is finished, yet people. Clearly his own most established child put the last nail in the casket of Harvey's vocation. He spilled some significant tea about his popular father, and it seems to be Steve's going to confront far and away. I'm more terrible wiping out than Diddy, as per insiders. There's been a few difficult issues in the family, and SE natural children are finished playing these games and imagining all that's ideal. Evidently, Harvey's partiality of specific relatives, and I'm discussing Lori, is causing a few significant rifts in this mixed group. And the insider facts at last went out, or we have full control of what was happening. Right by what it looked, Steve couldn't see the issue for quite a long time, and keeping in mind and that the pressures were fermenting, he figured he could purchase his child's affection with a thick heap of money, as one insider guaranteed concerning how Steve is adapting to the unrest between his friends and family. It's supposed that his approach to taking care of it has been to toss cash at them, purchase them presents, or simply go into one more space to bite on a stogie, yet it's not functioning admirably. Steve ought to have realized that cash can't purchase him love, and his filthy privilege in insights about being a crummy father would arise eventually. So Steve's been wearing the father cap since way back in 1982, and presently he has 7 children altogether, including twin little girls Carly and Liquor, and child Brock, with his most memorable spouse. Then during his emotional union with Mary, he fathered and their child Winton, and the last option to his family were 3 children of Marjorie that Harvey has embraced in a liberal move. Marie, what's going on with everything's occurring Eat? We have loads of shocks here for you. By 2008, when Steve was strolling down the passageway for the 3rd time, he likewise chose to embrace his new wife's 3 children, Morgan, Jason. And that's right, you got it, Lori and people, as per his child Brock. This is where all the difficulty has begun. Since Marjorie and Lori showed up in his life, Steve wasn't precisely winning any Father of the Year grants, and reality began to surface about Harvey's treatment of his own youngsters, his twins Cognac and Cat. Riley directly up felt deserted by him, cues he was so in the middle of pursuing his parody dreams. Father, we didn't have the foggiest idea about why you left us yet. We know now you needed to go, yet hello. It's not all pessimism. Steve's had his recovery curve without a doubt, following quite a while of alienation. He at long last fixed things up with his little girls by tossing cash at them. Since it doesn't matter to me the amount you make, they're going to figure out how to spend it. I don't have any idea what at rule they live by, yet that is one of them. And get this, when Carly got hitched in 2015, Steve strolled her down the walkway. Obviously, the comic accepted it was the best, most effective way to quiet his youngsters and continue to play a blissful family. Steve could have had his difficult times, yet toward the day's end, he ended up being an astonishing father, basically for young ladies who acknowledged his liberality and freely set things straight with him. Yet it didn't work with his most seasoned Hild Braddock, who was more than anxious to share how his father deserted him at an early age and attempted to fix up things years after to support his unblemished picture of an ideal father. As Steve himself admitted, I believe that my child should assist me with running my organization. My most seasoned child Brock, who's in TV, and obviously it was an extraordinary chance for the young fellow to at last seek his retribution and air all the grimy clothing he had on his dad. I 100% stand by you. Going to start up that discussion, and it won't transform anything among you and your mom. While a portion of Steve's children might have been purchased with money and extravagance presents, Brock didn't have any desire to be known as Steve Harvey child. Just the young fellow produced his own way as the business visionary and has become famous in the style and photography industry. Subsequent to concentrating on craftsmanship at college, Brock proceeded to begin his dress line, and when he fell solid on his feet, he chose to uncover his father and his genuine disposition. The young fellow was brought by his mom up in Cleveland after his folks isolated at 16 years old. He moved to Atlanta to reside with his dad full-time. As would be natural for him, he needed to figure out how to turn into a man. At 16, I knew that is what I wanted as a man. It was 2007 when Steve was riding with Marjorie and drawing nearer to her children. Very first word I told her was, "I don't have the foggiest idea what your identity is. Nevertheless, I will wed you one day." That is the principal point I made. So as Bree claims what he has seen, there was a long way from the climate of adoration. The relational peculiarities is getting considerably creepier with each new year, seeing that Daddy would rather not quit worshipping his better half and embrace little girl Lori. Different children started removing themselves, and in the event that you truly do a little hunt people, you might see twins being missing from Harvey family photographs for over a year. Seems to be Steve poured the remainder of his warmth and love into his took on kids, and the threatening heir immediately got comfortable their family chateau. For quite a long time, fans couldn't resist the opportunity to ask why just took on kids seek unique treatment as one individual remarked. If everybody somehow happened to perceive how Steve had regarded his wives as organic youngsters, nobody would be commending him at the present time, and another client added he was more Nick for doing that, didn't deal with his own sat. It seems like Steve went with some unacceptable decision between his children and his affection for Marjorie, and assuming the relational intricacies are uncovered soon sufficient, the jokester and television host might pay with all the more open kickback. Yet his whole profession as a relationship and inspiration master after his child uncovers it all. What does he have? What does he have? Allowed me to help you all that some to remember the children and forever been vocal about their question towards Marjorie. And as Steve himself referenced when he reported he planned to wed for the third time, they cool with all that the four young ladies all out disorder absolutely against it. And evidently when his children reference that they see Steve and Marjorie's association as disastrous for his relationship with organic children, Steve just decided to choose to disregard all their thinking. I'm BU. All ain't got a relationship, a steady employment profession. I'm paying for universities, and I don't how I'm paying attention to you all pursuing a few choices. Appears as though the genuine wreck is just getting everything rolling, and the natural children of Steve twins Carly and Liquor, and furthermore, 2 children from the television has passed. Relationships Brock and Winan have all accomplished new rush of treatment when Marjorie got comfortable the house with her children. The roads are talking that they are drained to see her blowing large number of dollars on her lavish way of life, and it appears as though Steve is so used to be only a cash pack in Marjorie's life that he doesn't understand how this lady is misleading him directly in front of him by playing with his affections for her. Anyway, Steve's children are stunned to figure out that his father is wanting to waste all his fortune on Marjorie's fancies, and he doesn't conceal this reality from his kids. When you come to the perusing of the wheel, it will be a few shock now me and you. Our mom is burning through 85% of all the cash I'm making. Now you might believe everything revolves around cash, folks, yet let me let you know that not by any means the only thing Steve's children are stressed over. Since the actual beginning of Steve's relationship with Marjorie, the entire situation felt counterfeit for themselves, and they even defied their renowned father about wedding this despicable lady, as Steve himself conceded in one meeting, and every one of the young ladies went bowling and returned and concluded they didn't believe we should get hitched, and said they don't believe it's the proper thing to do anyway. Their most terrible feelings of dread materialized after the television have and Marjorie secured the bunch in a luxurious function. The family quarrel have totally centered around his new wife and her a lot more youthful children, and particularly he was inclining toward Lori, who at that point was 10 years of age, and Steve showered the two of them with gifts and his affection. Well, to provide you with an illustration of how Steve was treating his direct family, I didn't actually have my father full-time into my life until I was 16, right, yet abandoning children to set out on street to progress, and abundance to leer accommodate them fails to measure up with how Steve purportedly treated his more youthful child Winan. As per Steve Harvey's ex Mary Lee Harvey, the humorist was adopting the very old school strategy with regards to training his child, and obviously it blended some envy when they perceived how Steve constructed a pristine family only with Marjorie and her little girl Lori. Let you know I needed to begin dating, so you took me on one of our yearly father-daughter dates to my one Japanese eatery. Now it varies such a lot of contrasting with what Steve attempts to show in the general population, and he really believed that his cash would quietness everybody anyway. The more educational store the crowd finds out about this man, the more they request to drop Him unequivocally as one individual remarked Steve Harvey sold his spirit. Yet, is that the reason his profession is where it's at today? And another client added Steve is brimming with, she can't stand him, it's okay to cherish your stepkids yet do a good job for your own nurtural kids and love on them first. Well, Steve has been taking cover behind the veil of an ideal father and relationship master for a really long time. And after what his child needed to say, no big surprise that the entire world